Welcome to this week's assembly. Is it ever okay to lie about something, do you think? When do you think it would be okay to tell a lie? Well, God always wants us to tell the truth unless we're playing a game where you lie as part of the game. And trying to trick someone is part of the game. Do you remember I told you the story about Abraham a few months ago, that he lived about 4,000 years ago? There might be a question on that. Abraham lived about 4,000 years ago, and when he was 75, God told him to leave the land where he lived, take his wife and all his possessions, and move to another country called Canaan, which was 400 miles away. Imagine walking 400 miles, because they only walked in them days, there was no cars or bicycles or anything, at the age of 75. Well, Abraham had great faith in God, and he actually did that. Abraham was an amazing person, but he wasn't perfect. And I'm going to tell you one of the times where he made a big mistake and did something he shouldn't have done. So this is a while after Abraham and his wife Sarah had got to Canaan. They'd been there a while with all their possessions, and there became a time of a famine. It didn't rain much and the crops didn't grow, and people began not to have enough to eat. And so Abraham decided to move to Egypt, another country. And on his way there, he said to Sarah, his wife, "What we'll do is we'll tell them that you're my sister. Because you're such a beautiful woman, somebody might kill me and take you." And so that was what Abraham told her to do. And so when they got to Egypt, that's what they did. Everyone thought that Sarah was Abraham's sister. Now, she was beautiful, and one man saw her and he reported to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, how beautiful Sarah was. Guess what Pharaoh did? He went and he took her to his palace to be his wife, because he thought she was an unmarried, single lady. Well, God didn't like that, of course, because Pharaoh had taken another man's wife. And so God made all the people in the palace of Pharaoh, including Pharaoh, ill. They had some kind of sickness. Well, Pharaoh actually found out what Abraham had done. He found out that Sarah was really Abraham's wife, and he realized that the sickness must be from God, because he'd done something really bad. But he didn't know. He didn't know that he'd done something wrong until he found out. So he called Abraham into the palace. He summoned him, and he was very angry. And he said to Abraham, "What do you think you're doing? Telling me that your wife is your sister? You have brought all this sickness onto us. I've had enough of you. Now I want you to take Sarah, and I want you to go away from Egypt, take all your possessions, and I don't want to see you ever again." And so that night, Sarah left with Abraham and all their possessions and went to a land called the Negev. It was a different country again. Now, you might know from your studies that in ancient Egypt, it was really, really important always to be totally truthful. So Abraham lied, and he caused a lot of trouble. Do you remember why Abraham lied about Sarah not being his wife? It was because he was afraid. He thought someone might kill him and take Sarah. Do you think Abraham should have lied? Well, lies usually affect us and other people more than what we ever think they will. Any idea what you think Abraham should have done instead? I think he should have told the truth. He should have believed that God would look after him and protect him while he was in Egypt. After all, God had told him to leave his land. And God had promised to be with him. And so he shouldn't have been afraid. And I believe that I don't need to be afraid either, whatever I'm facing, because I believe that God is always with me and will help me. And he loves you too. Now, I've got two little stories here, made up stories, and I'd like you to think about what the person in the story should do. Here's the first one. One day, Alex was playing with his friend Henry. They were running around the house, and Alex bumped into a picture of Grandma. It fell off the wall, and the glass of the picture broke into loads of pieces. As Alex heard the glass break, he knew he was going to get into trouble. Firstly, he shouldn't have been running in the house. And secondly, he'd smashed Grandma's picture. He knew his mum and dad were going to be very cross. So he thought about what he should do. He thought he could lie and say that he didn't know how it happened. And then he thought of another lie. He thought, I know, I can say that Harry knocked the picture off and broke it. And Harry can get the blame. What do you think Alex should do? Well, I think Alex should tell the truth, even though he might get into trouble. God will be happy with Alex for not lying. If he lies, Harry might get into trouble, and Harry is totally innocent. And also the lie might mean that Harry and Alex's friendship is broken. Okay, as our second little story, two girls this time. One morning, Alicia was on her way to school on the bus. She was sitting next to her friend Becky. Becky said, Alicia, your hair looks lovely today. My mum braided it this morning, said Alicia. Oh, I'm going to braid my hair, said Becky, because yours looks so good. And she sat in the bus seat, braiding her hair. When she finished, she said, what do you think? Alicia looked at Becky's hair. It wasn't very good. It wasn't braided properly. It was falling out. And she thought her friends might laugh at her at school once she got there. But Alicia didn't want to hurt Becky's feelings. What should Alicia do in this situation? What do you think? I think Alicia should tell the truth, but in a kind way. Because she doesn't want Becky to get to school and other people to laugh at her because her hair looks funny. Maybe Alicia could say something like, Becky, you've got lovely hair, but it's really difficult to braid your own hair. It doesn't look that good. Why don't you let me braid it at lunchtime? Or she could say, I'll see if Mum will let you come round for a play date and I'll ask Mum to braid your hair. By telling the truth, Becky won't be laughed at by others and Alicia won't lose the friendship with Becky either. Well, let me say a short prayer and then we'll have a quiz on the story of Abraham. If you like my prayer, you can say amen at the end. Dear God, please help us always to be honest, even if we might get into trouble. Help us to tell the truth in a kind way. We ask that everyone in our school might be honest, truthful, thoughtful and kind. Amen. Okay, question 1. How many years was the story of Abraham set? How many years ago was it? Number 2, name Abraham's wife. Number 3, they got to Canaan, they'd been there a while. Why did they go to Egypt? What lie did Abraham and Sarah tell? What lie did Abraham tell? Number 5, why did he tell that lie? Number 6, what happened when Pharaoh took Sarah as his wife? And number 7, what did Pharaoh do when he found out that Sarah was Abraham's wife? And number 8 is really hard. I don't think you'll get it, but try your best. Where did Abraham and Sarah move to? That's quite a hard one because I only said it once. I'll give you a clue. It begins with a N. Okay, answers. Question 1, 4,000 years ago. Question 2, Sarah is Abraham's wife. Question 3, they moved because of a famine or not enough food. Question 4, what lie did Abraham say? He said Sarah was a sister. 5, why did he tell that lie? He was afraid someone might kill him and take her. What happened when Pharaoh took Sarah as his wife? They became ill. You could put they became ill. And what did Pharaoh do? Number 7, what did Pharaoh do when he found out that Sarah and Abraham were married? He was angry. He made them leave Egypt. And the last one, number 8, if you've got this, you've done really well. They moved to an area called the Negev. But that was really hard, so you could have it out of 7 if you wanted to. Anyway, I hope you like that story. It's not as well known story in the Bible as some of the stories, but I thought it teaches us a good lesson. I hope you liked it. I hope to see you soon. Bye. Bye.